School starts up again tomorrow. Appreciate you all coming. My name is Andy Green. I've been the umpire in chief here at Point Loma Little League for the last couple years. And this year I'm kind of in a transition phase where our new umpire in chief, Jesse Denny, who I'll talk to you guys in a second, is kind of going to take over my duties at some point. But for the training and at least for the early part of the years, I'll kind of be doing just as I have in the last couple years. So I'll be primarily involved in training you guys, and since Jesse hasn't been through it before, he's going to kind of, like some of you new guys, kind of learn how we do it, how we do umpiring, how we do the program, etc. Back again this year is Nazare Judd, who's running to the door right now. Naz is somebody you definitely want to know and need to know because she is our scheduler, and she does all of the scheduling that basically giving you guys the games. And if you have a conflict, you need to get in touch with her and as early as possible and tell her about it, and availability and issues like that all go through Naz. So she is a really important person to know. The fourth important person that's just walked in the door here is our Point Loma Little League president, Tyler Smith.
Everybody.
If you guys played in the league last year, you know Tyler probably. If you were 2 years ago, he just started last year, so you might have missed him. But Tyler is the president of the league, and he's just another person that, as a junior umpire, he's always the president is somebody you can always talk to if there's an issue and you're at the field. You know, Jesse, myself, Naz, Tyler, we're always there that you can come to us. We're always going to have your side, and we're going to have your back. And, don't ever be afraid to bring any issue, especially if it's like a parent issue or even any kind of question. What should I do, or how should I handle this? Any of us at the field you can go to for that sort of information. Jesse, you want to say anything to the boys?
No, I'm looking forward to a good season for sure. And just let you guys know, we've had adult umpires behind the plate, and they've actually said umpires that have done it throughout the county, and they've said that our league is the best league that they work in because we don't have crazy parents comparably to other leagues and things like that. So it should be a good time, but we'll be on top of it.
Tyler?
Hey, this is one of the few leagues left that still does this sort of thing. And you have to look at Naz, you have to look at Andy. They've been carrying the torch here and doing this and putting a lot of time into making sure that you guys are well prepared. Obviously Jesse's taking on that role soon. He's learning a lot about what's going on right now. But this is a cool experience, and hopefully you appreciate that, but you probably won't until you're older. But at any rate, for those that are trying to think about maybe doing this long term, this is the first stepping stone to learn how to do that. So listen to what these guys have to say, because they're phenomenal in what they know about the game and how to play the game right. And when you bring that onto the field, you bring that confidence onto the field, the managers and the coaches pick up on that. If you're out there scared to death, they pick up on that too. So listen to this. It makes a big difference for everything from here on out.
And let me just echo what Tyler said. Zach, can you put it in the back?
Yeah.
umpiring is something, for a lot of you, this is the first job that you've ever gotten paid for, right? I mean, you know, you do stuff around the house, you probably don't get paid for it. But this is a real job, and for a lot of you, it's the first. This is your first job training you've ever had, and the first thing that y'all did right is be on time and be ready to go when you get here. And every time you show up to umpire, it's like going to work. And if you do this and you're successful at it, this is really something that you can do for a while. Let me tell you. My first job was umpiring at my local Little League up in LA. I was earning money at the age of 13, and then was able to I umpired through high school. I umpired Little League and basketball and stuff. And then even when I went to college, I umpired for the intramural program at school. So, I mean, all those years, it's such a great way to earn extra money because it's, you know, you're working outside and it's fun. It's a game that you guys love. I know you guys all play ball, and so you're part of this game that you love, and you're getting paid for it. And it's pretty cool, and it's worth really kind of, you know, seeing if you like it, stick with it. And there's a lot of things you can do with it. Okay, what we're going to need, just so you know, you all got an email, hopefully, that had a link to a participation form. I don't have one here in front of me, but those, if you didn't get it, you're going to need to check again and, you know, ask Nazari, and we'll send it to you again. But we have to have that thing filled out and signed in a copy of your health insurance form before we can give you any assignments. So some of you brought them tonight. If not, you got to get in touch with Naz and make sure that you get her that form. The second form that we need was one that we gave tonight that was up there. It's this, well, I don't have it. Do you have it on? Who picked one up? This one. Yeah. This form, it's called the Program Goals and Agreement. This one you want to go through, read through it, make sure you understand it. It has the code of conduct for the junior umpires, and you need to sign it and print your name at the bottom. And going through it real quick, I'm just going to go through the 5 points. You got to be on time, and being on time for umpiring means at least 15 minutes before the game time, properly attired and ready to assume your responsibilities. Proper attire means wearing your umpire hat. Yours will say Point Loma umpire on it, and it's facing forward. And then we don't turn our hats around when we're umpires. You got to look professional. You know, pants or shorts. We do allow you to use shorts. And a blue umpire shirt that'll look something like this. This was actually my umpire in chief shirt, but it'll look something like this. It'll have our PL on it, and you got to have that. So that's kind of your uniform, and also athletic shoes, no flip-flops or anything like that. You need tennis shoes on, socks and shoes. Number 3 is real important. You have to read and understand the entire rule book at least once, and the supplemental rules. Now, you don't have any of those yet, but before we kick off the season, that's something that everybody needs to do. You're going to get a rule book. We call it the Green Book. It's a pretty thick book, and I'll point out, you don't have to read the whole thing. There's a certain pages that have to do with regular gameplay, and that's who's that? Spencer?
Yeah.
All right. You'll have to read that, and then when we have the coaches' rules meetings, we'll develop what we call our local rules or our supplemental rules. Those are the rules that are special to Point Loma Little League, and you'll have to go through those, but we don't have those yet. Number 4, be diligent, attentive, cooperative, respectful to all participants in the game, including coaches, players, scorekeepers, other umpires, and fans, and expect the same in return. That's pretty self-explanatory. And number 5, and this is a big one, is that if you aren't able to make a game in which you're scheduled, it's your responsibility. Well, it's all right. It's your responsibility to tell us. It says here, this is an old sheet, that it's your responsibility to find a replacement. We don't do it that way, and we haven't done it that way for a couple of years. You need to tell Naz or I, and we will get a replacement for you. That's because it's important. We gotta balance like experienced guys with non-experienced guys, so we can't just let you just hand it off to somebody else and leave us with two inexperienced people potentially doing a game. So go through us. Code of conduct for junior umpires. All right, let's have some. Let's have some involvement. Nate, why don't you read? Nate's one of our senior umpires. Read the code of conduct for us.
I will honestly call each play as I see it. I will take my time and make my call clearly and loudly so that all participants may understand the result of the play. If I make a call of which I am not sure or did not see clearly, I will ask the other umpire for help and allow my call to be changed if it is determined that the other umpire had a better view. If I accidentally make a mistake and realize it later, I will not attempt to correct the call by making another mistaken call. I will always make each call as accurately as possible. I will not talk to players, coaches, fans, or anyone except as it applies to administering the game. I will not umpire any game in which a member of my family is participating without express approval of the umpire-in-chief.
All real important stuff. Any questions on any of that? Sometimes you will get assigned a game that you got your brother playing, or your dad is still coaching your younger sibling or whatnot. We try to avoid that, but if you see that, bring it to our attention, and we'll get you a different game. It's not, you're not going to lose the game, but we don't want. It's the appearance of, even though we know you guys would never be biased in favor of your family member or whatnot. To somebody sitting in the stands, they hear, oh, by the way, that umpire, that's the son of the other coach, and it just creates a bad appearance, an appearance of bias, and we don't want that. So it's important to let us know in situations like that. Before you leave tonight, on where you signed in, we need you to go back one more time and write in your shirt size, because you're all going to get an umpire shirt, and they're adult. I think they're all adult sizes, so it's just small, medium, large, or if you're an extra small, an XS or something like that. But put next to your name your shirt size so we have that and we can get those ordered. The way the job actually works is we've got 2 of you for every National League game. That's pitching machine. We've got 1 of you for doing the bases in the American League and a professional umpire behind the plate. And then 1 of you doing bases in intermediate and a professional umpire behind the plate. So, if all 3 games, we never have all 3 games going on, but at most we would have a National League game and maybe an intermediate game, so there'd be 3 of you working. So the point is, there's not 1,000 spots every day, and there's going to be Saturdays where we just can't get you a job, we can't get you work. Now, I will tell you this though. If you're a good umpire, and I see you out there and you're on time and you're on it and you know your stuff, and I'm getting good feedback on you, and you're available, meaning you don't constantly say, oh, I can't work Saturdays because I got this or that, or I got this, and you're available, you can get a lot of games. Again, I'll go back to Nate over here for last year, and Trevor too did a lot of games. 2 of our best umpires that we had, and they were always super responsive, and if we texted them, they'd text us right back, say, yeah, I could do it, because people are always canceling and stuff, and if you're available, you could, you made, do you have any idea how much you made last year? I mean, hundreds. So, this
we should have met that on video.
I know. He did really well. That's what. Did you see the new BMW out front? That's all the umpiring money, I'm sure. No, so the point is, if you're good at it, everybody's going to get a chance early on, and you will get games early on. As it gets later in the season, and especially in the playoffs, it's not everybody plays kind of deal. We go through and we meet and we discuss who are the best of the best and who's been available and who's been responsive, and that's kind of your reward, is you get to do the more games and you get to do the playoff games and the more important games towards the end of the year. Assigner. This is our real important website. Well, give me a raise of hands. Who has actually logged on to the Assigner website at some point so far? Okay, that's pretty good. Those of you that haven't need to do so. If you've got a pen, write this down. It's www.assigner, ASSIGNR.com. You can just, I'll put it in an email, you'll all get it. The email that you all got sent about this meeting tonight came from Assigner. I sent it through the website. That's what we use to communicate with you. So one of the things, a good point here is, those of you that don't check email, you got to start checking email now. You got a job that requires it, and it's important. It's important that that's how we communicate. That's how you get notice of your assignments. Let me just show. I'm going to just mirror my phone here for a second, and I'm just going to show you when you go to Assigner. This is how it would look on your phone, and you can see at the top. This is PLL.assigner, but if you just go to assigner.com and then you log in, it brings you to this. This is kind of your home page, and right off the bat, you'll see you've got, and these are from last year, but these are announcements that we post, and there's some good reminders. When I see issues with starting positions or I want to remind you guys about your voice. This is what it's all on that home page, and you can read it there. What you all want to do sometime in the next couple weeks is when you come here, you go up to the top here and you do the drop down and you go to availability, and you look at my availability. Let me hit that. Boom. There's my availability. You're going to see right off the bat it defaults to all these X marks, meaning I'm not available on those dates. And if it shows, when we go to assign it, if it shows that you're not available on a date, you're not getting an assignment on that date. So what you need to do is you need to go in here, and you really need to go, you don't need to start with January, but starting with like late February and all the way through April, as much as you can, go in and allow it. And if I know that, hey, I'm available on, I think there's a way, I can work every, what do I do? Every, all day, every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, every weekend I'm available, I'm going to say. So I do that, boom, and now all of a sudden nothing. What the heck happened? Oh, probably because I didn't put in date ranges.
Yeah.
But the easier way even is just, hey, I can work this date, so I'm going to hit allow, and now it checks marks. I can work that day. I can work that day. I know I'm available on these dates. I can work that day, and then I can go into hit another month, go into February, and start doing the same thing there. And if you're available on all of them, just uncheck all of it. This is how we do it. The other way, you can also, there's a way to say that you're just available in the morning or in the evening. You can kind of tailor it. But you got to spend some time going through this and filling out your availability. I mean, you don't have to do this tonight, but by early in February, we should get that all in. Because starting in February, we'll start assigning you guys to scrimmages. And coaches, the league doesn't generally pay for scrimmages, but coaches, I tell them if they want you guys to do their scrimmages, they should each bring some money because you guys deserve to get paid for those. And so you can get scrimmages assigned, and we'll use this who's available to assign the scrimmages. So real important that you go through Assigner and do it. The other thing with Assigner, where it becomes very important, is when you get a game, you're going to go to your email, and you're going to get an email like this that says assigner.com. See that one? So I open that one up, and it tells me, hey, I've got new assignments. I've got a game for Saturday, January 23rd at 10 a.m. It's a minor, on the minor field. It's the 9 and 11-year-olds. This is a National League game. And then I also got one at 5 o'clock on Saturday. what I need to do, it says games need to be confirmed. You then have to go, please log into Assigner and accept or decline these games. So I could just, right from my phone, I go to log into Assigner, and that's that home page I was talking about, and you hit login. I've already put my login information, so it goes right to it. And there it is. There's my Saturday game right there. Saturday, January 23rd, and the 5 p.m. game. So I go to that game, and I see, oh, it's Jesse Denny against Jonathan Ice's team. Boy, that's going to be an ugly one. I can accept or I can decline. And it don't feel, if you can't do it, decline it. If you've got a conflict. If you had a conflict, you probably should have had it, not being available. But assuming you just missed it or something and you need to decline it, much better, decline it. Don't wait. The quicker you decline it, the more time we have to find a replacement.
And try to accept it at 24 hours at least before. Otherwise, I gotta text you guys all the
Yeah,
time.
well, we try to assign these things weeks before, so I'd say, I'd like to see you guys accepting or declining, at least more than 24 hours,
Yeah.
but at the latest then. But okay, so I'm gonna accept the game, and boom, I've got the game. And if something came up, you can see I can go back and decline it, but I've accepted the game at this point. Now, Naz and I will get notice that you've accepted the game and we're good. That's what you need to do for all your assignments, and that's why email is critical. And if you can go in, by the way, and if you're afraid, oh God, I'm not so good at checking my email, but my mom is, you can add, I think it's under, how do
Just
you
go to
do that?
people, just go to,
Andy Greeny, my account,
yeah.
and you can see, I've got email, well,
You can edit your own.
edit site settings probably.
Well, you're
Oh, this is the whole site. Never mind, I'm not gonna do that. I know you can go in under your profile and add multiple emails. So put your parents' email in there if you're worried, because they'll get the same notices. So that's Assigner, and it's real important because that's how we do all our assignments. Are there any questions on that? Anything? No? All right, let's do this real quick. Turn that off. I want to just go around. I want to go around the room and have each of you guys. Introduce yourself and just tell them your name. Tell me if you've had how much umpire experience you had, and and tell me your baseball experience too. So I know. Are you playing this year, and how long have you played ball?
on the schedule.
Well, it sounds like a lot of you guys are first timers, which is great. But hopefully you listen to these guys that have had experience, because they'll be the guys that you'll want to kind of lean on to. Well, how do I do this? What am I supposed to do? And we'll try to pair you up when we can pair you up, like for National League games. We'll pair you up with people with some experience, so you don't have two first-year umpires working together. But I'm stoked that we do have all this new blood in the program, and there probably are some experienced guys that they've sat through this part a number of times, so they might still be around. We'll have to find out. Okay, pre-game. The equipment that you need. When you show up for the National League, you get 5 game balls. For the American League and IL games, you get 3 game balls. So 5 for the pitching machine, 3 for everything else. And you get those at the Snack Shack, but we don't go into the Snack Shack anymore. We used to let the umpires go in there, and the Snack Shack people got real upset about it. So you can go to that side door and just kind of lean in and go, hey guys, I need my game balls. And it's your responsibility. If you're working American League or Intermediate where there's pro umpires, they don't come with game balls. You've got to bring them the game balls. So you go get your game balls. If you're working the National League or the American League, you get a red flag. We've got these red flags in there. That's for, we'll talk about it in a bit, but that's for runner leaving early. generally is what you use those for. You only need to grab the red flag if you're doing National League or American League. Intermediates, there's leadoffs, that rule's not an issue, so you don't need the flag. And for all of them, you need a clicker. And the clickers we keep in a basket up in the snack shack too. So a clicker, game balls, and if you're doing NL or AL games, you need the flag. AL or NL, right. The one other thing I try to keep some plate brushes up there. You only need those, one of you, if you're doing a National League game, you do the plate brushes. You do for the other leagues, there's a guy behind the plate and he'll have his own brush. You don't need to worry about that. Another one that's real important is you've got flag duty, guys. If you've got the first game of the day on a Saturday, or you've got it'll be the only game on a weekday, your responsibility before the game is to raise that flag up, and we'll do a demo of that when we have our on-field day, how you do that. And then the guys who have the last games of the day, bring it down and fold it and put it back in the snack shack. Real important. Too many times there were guys that just left it up last year, and that's a no-no. Because we know who you are, and then it's no surprise that you don't get a game for a while after that. So make sure you get the flag up if you're the first games, and the flag down. And there should be 4 of you. There's usually 2 games, so there's 4 of you to do it. So it should be real quick and easy. Okay, before the game, the first thing. We said you should get there about 15 minutes before, and the first thing you want to do is meet with your partner. And if it's a National League game, it's 2 of you guys, and you guys can talk. If it's a AL or IL, you're meeting with an adult, and you want to meet with your partner. And I want to show you a quick little video of kind of how the discussion between partners goes. This is how it works. Oops, I should put that up on the screen, unless y'all want to gather around this phone, that'd be real hard. Hold on. Here we go.
Important skills you can pick up as a new umpire is conducting a good pre-game conference with your partner. The following demonstration will highlight several of the points that you should cover during a pre-game conference with your partner. Mike, Tom Rawlings, I'm your partner today. Hi, okay, doing good?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well today we're working on a 60-foot field. You'll have the bases, I've got the plate. I'll have foul balls when you're in the A position from the plate up to the front edge of the bag. You'll have it from the bag going out. You'll have any trouble ball that you deem to right field. If you should go out, let me know. I'll pick up your runners. Should we have a situation with a check swing and I'm asked for help, I will come out to you. Give me what you've got. If we have a batter hit by a foul ball, or hit by a ball rather, in the batter's box, and you see it, come up and kill play right away. Let's make sure we get that right. If at any point during the game I lose the count today, you will see me come up to the top of my cap, and that means, Mike, I've lost the count. Please give me a hand with that. Should we have an infield fly situation with a runners on first, second, and third, less than 2 outs, I'll step clear of the catcher, put my hand on my chest to let you know we have an infield fly. Is there anything that you think we need to cover or go over before we go out on the field?
No, you covered it pretty well.
Let's go have fun.
All right, simple enough, right? These guys you're working behind the plate are pros. They'll probably run that initial meeting, but that video gives you some good ideas of what are the things you want to work out. Guys, the other guys have different signals for infield fly situations. Some of them I know like to go to the chin, something like that. Do you guys remember from last year what they or do this 1 or 2?
Yeah.
Right. So if meaning we've got, well, it'd be none or 1, right? You never have 2, and we'll go over the infield fly rule in a bit. These are so this is so that you guys are kind of speaking the same language during the game, and you're able to communicate without yelling, "Hey, partner, what's the? I forgot the count. What's the count?" Or, "Hey, infield fly rules in effect. Be aware." That doesn't look good. It doesn't look like you guys know what you're doing. So you have these symbols like this or this, and you give it back to each other, and then now you guys are speaking the same language, and it makes for a much smoother crew. So that's your partner meeting. The next thing you're doing at 10 minutes before game time, we're on the first page of the handout here, is your pregame meeting at home plate. And that's something that if you're National League, you guys are running it. If you're American League or IL, the home plate guy will be doing it. But sometimes it's up to you guys to say, "Hey, buddy, we got to let's get our managers meeting done." Because it's real important that we get our games done and get them done on time. And starting on time and ending on time is real critical. So if you're a guy behind home plates off, whatever, talking to somebody or just, joshing around and it's 10 minutes before game time, go up to them and say, "Hey, let's do our managers meeting." And this is where you call for the managers and you introduce yourself, and the home team manager. I'm not going to read it all to you, but it tells you what you do. You have to ask if the players are properly equipped. This is so from a Little League perspective, we need to make sure for an assurance that we have checked that everybody's equipped properly. Nobody's wearing jewelry. You can't have jewelry on. You can't have a hard cast on or something like that either. And so you don't have to go check all the players. You put it on the coaches to make sure they have checked and they tell you. So you always ask, are your players all properly equipped to play? You go over the ground rules, which when we have our on-field, we'll go over them about, we have certain quirky things because of our fields that, what's out of play, what's in play. Discussing players, coaches leaving the field, how they should always ask you permission before they do that, and that's really important with time and time being granted. You want to talk to them, coach. When if you want time, if you want to talk to a player, you want to talk to me, you got to ask for time first. You don't come just running out of the dugout at that point. Once I give you time, then I'm happy to talk to you. You always ask them for questions. You shake hands. You'll get good at it. It takes 50 seconds or so. It's not a long meeting, but you got to do that. So that's your pregame meeting, and then at 5 minutes before game time, we do the Little League pledge, and where the teams line up along the lines, and you've all seen this, I think, by now. They do the Little League pledge, and they do the Pledge of Allegiance. And you just kind of stand back for that. You don't have a part in that, but you want to make sure it happens because that way you get your game started on time. So it's really, think 15, 10, 5. 15 for I'm going to be there by 15 and I'm going to meet my partner. By 10, I'm doing my coaches. By 5, we're doing the pledge, and then at 0, we're play ball. So if you keep to that, you'll be right on time. All right. Now we're on to the rules of baseball. A lot of this you're all going to know, but we're going to go through it anyway, and I'll try to intersperse some little videos to keep it interesting. Real quick, we've got the training is 3 sessions. It's today. On the 30th. We'll be on the field. Work with our professional umpire organization. Will be there. And we're going to go over mechanics and where you stand and actually drill you a little bit. And that's real important, so I hope you can all make that on Saturday from 10 to 1. Okay. To conducting yourself, I'm skipping to the conducting yourself. To successfully enforce the rules, you must look and act like an umpire. Your appearance and demeanor are important. Look like an umpire. Your voice says you're in charge, strong and commanding. That I can't emphasize enough, and we'll talk more about that, but really, really making clear, loud calls. And that doesn't mean screaming, "You're out!" if a guy's thrown out by 20 feet and embarrassing anybody. But on bang-bang plays, I always like to say, the closer the play, the louder you gotta be. Because it's about selling the call and showing that you believe in your call. if you're kind of doing the safe, that nobody's gonna, even if you're right, it sounds like you're wrong, and you'll get flack from coaches and people in the stands if you're kind of iffy like that. Just no matter what, you're selling your call. You're loud and you're confident. You must be and appear impartial. We talked about that already. You don't ever want to show bias, obviously. Safety during the game. We really put that on the coaches, but I like you guys to know some of the Little League safety rules, because if you see it, you absolutely can call it out. For instance, the dangle on the catcher's mask. There always has to be one. If you see a catcher out there without the dangle, you got to stop it immediately during warm-ups and say, "Coach, he's got to get you got to have the dangle on the mask." Hey, Mr. Fithin, better late than never. Hey, Sammy, can you take the dog back, please?
Yeah,
Or out? Thank you.
they'll be back in a sec.
Okay. The other one is that players have to be in the dugout, and there's never supposed to be a bat in the dugout. If you ever see a bat in the dugout, you might stop any of those safety issues. You can do it. We will try to make sure the coaches know all about it, but it's good for you guys to know as well. All right. Keys to effective game management. Keep the game moving. Get defense changeover quickly. Little League has talked about, they like to keep changeovers to about a minute. That means from the third out to the first pitch of the next inning, we try to keep it to about a minute long, which is actually pretty quick, but it can be done if people are hustling. And one thing that you want to do, and this is a great topic for the pregame meeting with the coaches, is telling them, "Coach, we want to be able to keep the game going and keep on time and get in our innings. So, when there's 2 outs, get your catcher suited up. If you're on the bench, whoever's going to be catching, get him suited up so we don't spend, 3 minutes where the catcher's putting on his gear after the third out. If the catcher's on base at the end, let's throw a mask. You just need a mask on somebody else. Get them out there warming up so we can go." It's not as especially in the National League, sometimes those changeovers take forever. And you guys, it's kind of your guys' job to keep it moving. Let's go, let's hustle, guys, and talk to the coaches ahead of time about making sure that they get, they suit a catcher in that. The guy never even gets behind the plate mostly, but getting that catcher in his gear is real important to keep that game moving. All right, ending the game. We'll go to the next page. And go back and read these slides in more detail after tonight, but for time's sake, I'm gonna try to hit the highlights. Okay, all divisions play 5.5 or 6 inning games, except for intermediate that plays 7. Obviously, when do you play 5.5 innings? There you go. Home team's ahead. At the end of 5.5, we don't play the 6. But for National League and American League, otherwise you're playing 6 innings. Time limits. There is no time. We technically do not have time limits on weekday games. Now, early in the season, before daylight saving time, there is a de facto time limit, meaning when it's dark. If it's too dark to play, it's a safety issue, and we got to stop the game. One test, how do you know it's too dark? This is the umpire's decision, and you'll have an adult to help. But one of the tests that I always thought is good is put one of you at home plate, send the other guy out to the center field fence. Have him hold up fingers. If you can't see how many fingers he's holding up, it's too dark, or you need to get your eyes checked. One of the two. But generally, I'm assuming you guys have good visions, and so that means it's too dark. And we don't play if it's too dark. We can't. So that's one little test you can do it. Usually the coaches, that's a discussion to have with the coaches, and they'll all be in agreement too, generally. You're not gonna get, that's not gonna be a contentious thing. But on weekends, because we have these games back to back, we're really on top of these time limits. Hour 45 for AL and NL, and that means no new inning after an hour 45. If you start an inning at an hour and 43, technically you can do that, but be real careful because you're now, that last inning might go, because those are unlimited run innings, remember, and that inning can go 25, 30 minutes, and now it throws everything off for the day. So if it's super close, you're the one keeping the time, I generally would call it. Go ahead.
Do you have a hard stop at 2 hours?
We do not have that. That's something, but again, these are the type of things that we'll probably bring up in the coaches' meetings, and that's why we're going to meet again in February after those meetings, and we'll give you the final word. But for now, it's not. There's just no new inning after an hour 45 in AL and NL, and no new inning after 2 hours and that's only on Saturdays. Okay, live ball, dead ball. It seems really simple, but it's kind of an important, most basic concept of baseball. The game starts when the PU is plate umpire puts the ball in play by calling play or play ball or whatever. From then forward, the ball is always in one of two states, live or dead. The umpire, you as the umpire, control this. When the ball is live, all legal actions of the game may occur until one of three things. I call time, there's a foul ball, or a dead ball situation. If I don't call if one of those three things doesn't happen after I call play ball, that ball is live. That means somebody could be put out, somebody could, if they're stealing, they can take a base, what have you. So it's good to think in terms of ball live, ball dead. And remember, those are the three ways. Once the ball is dead, then no runner can advance, no run can score, any action can really take place until we put the ball back in play. And then after a dead ball, there are two things that can happen. There's the runner and the batter either return, if it's like a foul ball situation, that would be where they would return, or the runner's the batter advance, meaning it's a hit ball, live ball. But a lot of people think like, okay, the runner, it's a dead ball after the guy reaches first base on a single. It's not. That ball is live still. Now in American League or National League, when the ball goes back say National League, the ball goes back to the guy who's going to be feeding the machine, that's dead ball. And then we throw our hands up, we call it dead ball, and that kills everything. But think of it. Go ahead.
Well, there was a play last year, and you guys know some players are pretty dramatic. They dive for a ball, they'll lie on the grass. Okay, there was a play-to-play collision. The catcher just lied there like he was hurt, but the ball should have been live still, right? You keep playing the ball. The umpire, tried to be the good person, called dead ball. And then the catcher really wasn't hurt. He was just playing it up. All right, you got to keep playing the ball. Just don't call. I mean, obviously, if the ball's smashed and hits some kid in the face or something, that's a different story. After he gets the first, it's a dead ball. Everybody knows that. But we got to it's a live ball, it's a live ball. And the players and umpires, I think, need to know that.
I will say it's a real fine line in situation where there's an injury. Generally, what Jesse's saying is right. I mean, even in baseball, a guy gets injured, that play continues. It's not a dead ball until the ball is really dead and the umpire calls dead. In Little League, we are so safety concerned that you don't want a guy who is seriously hurt, runners jumping over him and things because he's lying dead in the baseline. So it's really a judgment thing, though. And if in doubt, I'd let the play go. I would let the play go, and then as soon as it's over, dead ball, and then we attend to the player. But that's something you just got to. I'm not going to ever fault you guys if a guy gets drilled with a ball and he drops like a rock, and we need to get some medical help out to that guy right away. If you kill the play at that point, that is totally right, and nobody's going to get on you for that. So that's just a tough situation. Okay. Dead ball outcomes. Let's go. Foul ball not caught. That's 90% of your dead balls, right? Ball, run and return. Everybody knows that. Illegally batted ball. A batter hits the ball with 1 foot outside the batter's box or whatnot. That's a dead ball. Very rarely happens. Usually on a bunt, and we don't have bunting except in American League and Intermediate. Offensive interference is a dead ball situation. This gets into this crazy distinction between interference and obstruction in baseball. Interference is on the offense, obstruction is on the defense. That's just how you just got to remember that. Interference meaning an offensive player has interfered with a base runner. That an offensive player has interfered with a defender. That is a dead ball, where you kill the play right there, and then we have to award bases. Obstruction is not a dead ball situation, and we'll talk about obstruction in a second. Let's look at interference. I'm going to show you base runner interference.
Rule 708, any runner is out when B, he intentionally interferes with a thrown ball or hinders a fielder attempting to make a play on a batted ball. The runner who is judged to have hindered a fielder who is attempting to make a play on a batted ball is out whether it was intentional or not. A runner must avoid a fielder attempting to field a batted ball. The fielder is protected from being interfered with the moment the ball is hit toward him and the umpire judges that he's the one who can field the ball. The runner must avoid him wherever that fielder needs to go to field the ball. The runner has no right of way. The runner is out if he interferes, whether it was intentional or not. The fielder is protected from the time he attempts to field the ball up until he releases the throw. If the ball gets away from him and it's within a step and a reach, he's still protected from being interfered with. If the ball gets further away and he has to chase it, then he would not be protected and no interference would be called unless it was intentional. Rule 2.00, interference. Offensive interference is an act by the team at bat which interferes with, obstructs, impedes, hinders, or confuses any fielder attempting to make a play. If the umpire declares the batter, runner, or a runner out for interference, all other runners shall return to the last base that was, in the judgment of the umpire, legally touched at the time of the interference, unless otherwise provided by these rules. Rule 7.08B, any runner is out when.
All right, I'm going to stop it there. That's basically interference. As you can see, the big key is it's dead ball right. It's dead ball right there. Here's one. This is to show you from the umpire's perspective how this works.
Situation 13, runner interference. Baseball is essentially a non-contact sport, but collisions do occur occasionally, and it's the umpire's job to determine who has the right of way. A fielder must be protected while in the act of fielding a batted ball. As you can see in this first play, the second baseman is attempting to secure the ball when the runner collides with it, knocking the ball loose.
Time! That's interference! He's out! Batter, first base!
There you go. That's basically how it works. The key being if you are in the process of making a play as a fielder, you're protected, and that batter has to avoid you. Once that ball is through or it gets away from you, now you're not protected, and you could actually be obstructing the runner at that point. But think, the one thing that you have to know is a lot of times they don't field it cleanly. The ball bounces and they have to move, they have to take a step to go get it or whatnot. You're still protected. If you're in the process of fielding the ball, you have to be avoided. If you get run into, dead ball, that's interference. The runner is out. Batter gets first base in that situation. So now there is the one type of interference that could actually result in a double play, and that's where if there's interference with the guy throwing, the guy goes into second place with his hands up or whatever, and interferes with the throw. Now you can have interference. He's out, and in your judgment, that would have been a double play. Boom! You ring out that batter's out too. So that's interference. You don't see it too terribly much. Runners generally know to get the heck out of the way, except Matt Nuan, he runs over people all the time, pretty much, doesn't he? Not so bad. So that's interference. What else? The one thing though to take away from that last video, it looks silly. You know, it's kind of funny to see the guy going, "Stone! Interfere!" But that's what you got to do. I mean, if you're embarrassed to raise your voice and be loud, and we're going to have you guys be loud out there, then umpiring's probably not the right job for you, because you got to think about it. You're killing the play in the middle of the play. There's people running around everywhere. Every coach is screaming. If you're not loud, nobody's going to know what the heck just happened. You got to be loud. You got to use your hand signals, dead ball, pointing at the interference, what have you. And that's the only way you'll keep control of the situation. Okay, so that's interference. Batter hit by pitch in strike zone while swinging. In both cases, the pitch. In both cases, the pitch is a strike. If strike three, the batter's out. Batter's not awarded first base. Y'all understand? I mean, you don't really need to. You don't see it that often. But if I swing at a pitch and the ball hits me, that's a strike. Those are just instances of dead ball situations. All right, delayed dead ball. Some infractions call for a delayed dead ball, and we'll talk about, and that would be obstruction sort of thing, or catcher's interference would be an example, and that's where you allow the play to conclude, and then you call time and deal with the infraction. So that's kind of what they're pointing out here, the difference between immediate dead balls and delayed dead balls. All right, fair foul. It seems real simple, but it can actually be a little tricky. First, well, let me give you guys one. Look down in the middle of the page where it has the three little pictures. You see that? You see the first one, the picture. Let's start with picture 2. The guy's in fair territory. He's leaning over, and let's say he's out. This is an outfielder. He's leaning over the line. The ball hits his glove and falls into foul territory. Fair or foul?
Fair.
Who says fair? Because he was in fair territory? Okay, you're all wrong. Who said foul? Everybody else. There we go. It is the very thing. It's not like football where if I catch a ball here, it's all about where my feet are. In baseball, it's where the ball is, and that's what if you go back to the first slide here, judge the position of the ball, not the fielder relative to the foul line. So in diagram 2, in picture 2 there, that ball is in foul territory, so when I touched it, the ball was in foul territory. If I touch a ball in foul territory and it goes foul, still foul. I can catch a ball in foul territory, obviously that's an out. But it's where the ball is, not where the fielder is. Similarly, look at number 1. This is the picture 1. This is a ball that's rolling up the first base line in foul territory, and the pitcher comes over and he picks it up. Well, but he's in fair territory. Fair or foul?
Foul.
Exactly, because the ball's in foul territory. Number 3 is a real tricky one. There you've got, it looked like it's a pop-up, and you've got a catcher who's like straddling the line, and the ball hits him and falls down into foul territory. That's just got to be, that's a judgment, and that would be true of any player who's straddling the line. Did that ball hit him on the foul side of his ball, on the foul side, or did it hit him on in the fair side? And that's what it would be. You got to just make the call. Was the ball fair or foul when it was touched?
So what about this one picture right here? If the guy hits it past the bag into the outfield and comes back in the fair, that would be foul. But they're saying fair ball there.
Fair ball scenarios. Well, let's look at the fair ball. You're talking about the, which one? This one on the left? Okay, here's one. Here's one, because that's saying, that's a fly ball, I think is what that's saying.
Yeah.
If there's a fly ball that hooks, that, you know, that's hooking from foul territory, it hooks, and then boom, it lands in fair territory beyond third base, that's a fair ball. It doesn't matter where it is. Now, if that was on the ground, that would absolutely be a foul ball, because when you're dealing with fair foul on balls on the ground, it's wherever the ball is when it passes first or third base, essentially. So
Another wind kicking in or something.
right, exactly. So a ball that's dribbling up along the first baseline, like you see. Let me pull up it, just so I show you what we're talking about.
Here's a quick one. So, hard grounder hits the bag and shoots foul. Is it fair or foul? Fair.
Right, because you know why it's fair? The entire base is in fair territory if the lines are drawn properly. But so when we're dealing with ground balls, it really, if the ball's not touched and it's just coming up here, it could be foul. The last second it comes in and crosses the base in fair territory, that's a fair ball, right? Conversely, a ball that's rolling, and then rolls out right here, foul ball. Now, if it's touched anywhere before it reaches the base, now you have to judge was it touched in fair territory or was it touched in foul territory. Let me see.
There's one that went into one of the palm trees last year.
Oh, don't even start with that. Don't even start with that. That was Spencer.
They call it.
That was Spencer.
Foul ball home run.
That was fair. That was a foul ball.
That was a home
So
run.
here's a crazy one. Here's a crazy one that I've never seen it happen, but I've actually seen it happen in one of my softball games because the mound was like sticking up hard. But theoretically, a line shot hits the pitcher's mound and caroms off this way. Fair or foul? Foul. It never crossed anywhere. It never crossed first baseline or this line in fair territory.
Now, if it hit the pitching machine, it'd be dead ball.
Yeah, pitching machine's a different issue. We'll deal with that when we talk about the local rules. But yeah, that's a quirky one. What's another quirky one? Hey, how about a fair foul? If ball hits down on the plate and comes to rest in the batter's box, fair or foul?
Foul.
Oh, Trevor paid attention last year. I gave this thing. Tell us why, Trevor.
Because a third of the batter's box is in for territory.
You see that? You guys, the line, when we draw these lines, there's not actually a line that's drawn through the box. We don't chalk it, but it's lined up so that the entire plate, first of all, is fair territory. Don't ever fall for, it hit the plate, that can't be a fair ball. Absolutely. Any ball that hits the plate and comes fair is fair. And plus, it wouldn't even matter because people seem to think that, you know, even if it hits down here in foul territory and rolls fair, that's still a fair ball. But as Trevor was saying, the line actually cuts through the box, you can see, and this much of the box on each side is fair territory. So you just gotta have to use your judgment. If the ball were to rest here, that's a fair ball. If it comes to rest anywhere in the batter's box outside, that's a foul ball. So that's always an interesting trivia one. You can stump your friends, except Trevor, of course. Don't be friends with Trevor, because he won't ever fall for that one. So that's fair and foul. So they break it down nicely in that very first slide to 3 fair foul scenarios. Infield ball, not reaching first or third base, is judged by where the ball is first touched or where the ball settles. So if it never gets to first, second, or first or third base, if it's touched and fair, it's fair. Touched and foul, it's foul. Or if it's not touched at all, it's where it stops. Bounding ball that goes over first or third base is fair. We talked about that. It crosses the plane of the base or touches the base, it breaks the glass. This is kind of a thing people like to think about. There's like a glass wall window here. If it breaks that glass past third base, it would it's a fair ball. Number 3 is fly balls that go beyond first or third base. So any ball hit to the outfield or any ball deep infield, it's as simple as if it drops it uncaught in foul territory, it's foul. If it's touched in foul territory and drops, it's still foul. But if it's touched in fair territory, it's a fair ball. All right. Here's the last note is actually a good one. A ball that first touches any foreign object in foul territory, like a backstop, a fence, is always foul. So we've got, like in the minors field, we've got a fence down here. If a ball hits that thing first in foul, that's the first thing it hits. That's always a dead ball, even if it somehow caroms back into fair territory. Okay. Batter basics. Yes, absolutely.
Hard line drive that hits in right before the bag on third base, and then bounces over in the air over third base, and then bounces foul.
So
It's in right before the bag.
it hits here.
Yeah.
It crosses over the base and then into foul territory.
Where the next hit.
What do you guys think?
Fair.
But why? Because what? That's exactly right. Even though it was a one bouncer, it's like just any ground ball because it landed inside of the baselines on its first bounce. When it crossed that line, it crossed over the base. That's fair ball. So first bounce here, second bounce here. If it went over that base, it's fair ball. Got it?
Yes, good.
Okay. Batter basics. I'll let you guys read that. It's not something we see very often. Throwing the bat, by the way, you'll have especially the little kids. They throw the bat, and you'll see this in National League. We don't automatically. I mean, if anybody ever throws a bat that you see intentional, if you see a guy throw a bat out of anger. Where's Chef Barber? That's grounds for ejection. But most of the time, especially in the National League, they're not throwing bats out of anger. They're little kids and they swing and the bat goes flying. Give them a warning. Tell them. And talk to the coach too. You want to call time after and say, Coach, your last player threw the bat. That's a warning. Please talk to him. One of the things that the coach, that you can suggest to the coach is have the batter carry the bat with him like halfway up the baseline before he drops it. We used to do that with the little guys. But we don't. There's no little league rule that that just if you see any bat that is thrown, there's an automatic out. Some parents will scream that, and it's not true. So just give a warning. If there's a repeated times. You can actually call it an out at that point. Batter hit by batted ball. If you're still in the batter's box, it's a foul ball. So anytime I swing and it goes off my foot and then rolls fair, that's still a foul ball. We all understand it. And base umpires, that's what you guys really have to be watching for. It's a tough call. It's a tough call for an umpire behind home plate because he's got the catcher and the batter and the screen. And a lot of times the ball, you drill it down off their foot and it rolls out into fair territory. And this guy just takes off running. You as the base umpire have to be going, foul ball, foul ball. That hit the batter's foot. That's a real important one. Now, on a bunt situation where you bunt the ball maybe up the first baseline and I start running up the first baseline and I touch that ball in fair territory, I'm out. That's now I've been. It would be really silly to do that, but I've seen it done. So outside anytime you make contact with a fair ball outside the batter's box, the batter's out. It's interference. I'm not going to deal with bidding out of order. You don't see that, but it's a crazy rule. Runner basics. Heading to first base. You have to. It's normally not something that you see too much, but if a runner is outside the running lane in the last half to first base and interferes with the throw from the vicinity of home plate with a bunt, the batter runner is out. So what they're saying here is when I'm running, basically I'm supposed to be in this section of the dirt, in the foul territory section of the dirt for the last half of the baseline. If I'm in the if I'm anywhere in fair territory and the ball saying is hit here and the ball hits me in the back when I'm running, I'm out. If I get hit in fair territory, and that'll be your call. You'll have a home plate umpire that'll be watching it. I haven't seen it. Most runners know to stay in foul territory. Now the other thing is. And this is something you do see. The runner will be running in fair territory down here, and the catcher goes, "Oh God, if I throw it, I'm going to hit him," and I don't throw the ball. He can't be out in that situation. And they'll go, "Well, you didn't throw it because." Well, coach, he's got to throw it because doesn't become a penalty until he actually interferes with the throw, and that means you get hit with the throw essentially. That's one of those situations where your catchers really should just throw it at him to get that call because if he doesn't get hit, it doesn't matter. Now if he does throw it and he has to throw it, well, I'm pretty sure that even if he has to throw it high to avoid him, that's still not interference. He's got to interfere with the throw by getting hit with it. All right, I'm going to go to, let's see, overthrows, because we do get a lot of overthrows. We're going down to the bottom here, bottom left hand of the page. There are two circumstances on overthrows, and you either have to judge from TOP, which is the time of the pitch, or the TOT, which is time of the throw. This is a real important one. First play in the infield. That means ground ball to any infielder, overthrows first, ball goes out of play. That is the first play from the infield. That's a TOP, time of pitch. You get 2 bases from the time of pitch. So again, ground ball to shortstop, say there's a runner on first. Shortstop airmails it, it goes under the fence or over the fence, it's out of play. Dead ball. Batter, where does he go?
Next base. First. Second.
Second base. Two bases from the time of the pitch. That means when that pitcher, before he pitched it, he's going to second. Where's the runner on first go? Third base. 2 plays. Now, from a second play in the infield, so say it would be a double play situation, or God, the throw is so bad from the shortstop that the second baseman picks it up and he throws it out of play or something. That would be a second play from the infield, or more commonly, a throw from the outfield. Both of those are the same, and that is, and that's so you see an outfielder come up. We'll go with the guy on first. The runner doubles into the gap. He's round, the runner, the runner's running to second. The guy's coming home right at the time when the center fielder takes it up and throws it over the backstop. Dead ball, 2 bases from the time of the throw. And you've got to go back in your mind and think, okay, when he released that ball, I know that batter, if that batter was in the outfield, he was at least somewhere in here, right? So he gets 1, 2, third base. The batter will get third base. That runner, well, obviously if the batter's at third, the runner's going home. But even if it was a super short line drive, so the guy wasn't even at first base, that runner was say here. If the time he released the throw, and it can be tricky because sometimes these out of play throws, it goes bink, 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 bink. Bing, 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 and it's rolling, and it crosses that line, that out of play line here by the dugout, and it's been 20 seconds, and these guys are like taking 4 bases. You got to go back to, well, when he first threw that ball, where was everybody? And you get 2 bases from that point.
What about pitching machine, when the pitcher gets the ball and then throws it and overthrows it?
Oh, yeah, like dead ball.
Because so the pitching machine,
Well, the pitching machine has these crazy rules that we'll go over when we do the local rules about killing a ball. But generally, a ground ball back to the pitcher and he overthrows first base, and it goes out of play. That's a dead ball, and you go back to, it's a first throw from the infield, so it's 2 bases from the time of pitch. So the batter would get to second, and anybody on base would get 2 bases from where they started.
How about if
2
like,
bases?
how about,
Yeah.
let's say if shortstop throws at the pitcher, and once the pitcher gets it, it's supposed to be, is it a dead ball?
Well, that's a dead ball
That's a
situation.
dead
That's
ball.
a non-baseball
Yeah.
rule that only applies to National League, and we'll talk about that. But this is balls thrown out of play generally. And we'll have to talk about National League rules. That could be a whole nother topic.
Well, I think a lot of these kids will be, a lot of boys will be.
Yeah, and we'll definitely go over that. But that's different than the out of play rule, the general baseball out of play rule. Okay, leaving early. This is real important for you guys in AL and NL. You can't leave. The runners cannot leave the base until the pitch reaches the home plate or reaches the batter. And that's what your red flags are for. And that's why we got you guys on the bases. That's one of your primary responsibilities, is watching these runners. And if you see a guy that takes off, they like to get a jump. And sometimes, I lost it. Sometimes they like to go, some coaches even teach, and I might even have said this to one of my players one time, that, hey, when the ball gets onto the dirt area on the pitch, get that jump, try to get that jump, because some umpires aren't good at seeing it. But if you see a guy if a guy gets an early jump from any base, in National League or American League, you drop, it's not a dead ball, it's a kind of a delayed thing, where you drop your flag, you let the play go, and at the end you yell time, runner on first left early, and the way that works is the play, well, first of all, if the guy was thrown out, you pick up your flag and he's out. He doesn't get saved by the fact he left early. If it's just a steal situation where they're stealing, and that's usually where you see it on a steal, they're going back, and everybody else is going back too. So you send everybody back in that situation.
What if it's a hit ball?
If the batter gets a hit, you let the play continue, and then you call time. And it depends on what the hit is on a leave early situation. If the guy leaves early from first, and this guy gets a clean single, and this guy, because he left early, went all the way to third, I'm putting this guy goes back to second because he left early. You can't not give the batter, he got the clean single. Now, If he doubles, then this guy's gonna be third. Generally on a double, the guy who left early is gonna score, but you're sending him back to third, if he left
What
early.
if he goes all the way home and it's a close play and he doesn't get thrown out? He wouldn't have that jump initially anyways.
What's that?
So if the guy goes from first all the way to home.
Okay, so
it's a close play. But
we
he
drop,
can't-
this
he can't
guy
stay.
leaves early, we drop our flag, and the batter doubles, and this guy comes home, and there's a play at the plate, and he's safe.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Can you go back to third?
Back to third. Absolutely. Always
Or if
go
it's a
back.
clean triple.
What? Clean triple with scoring.
So a home run, you just scored?
What's that? Yes.
Play on a home run.
A legit. Now, if the ball goes through 12 legs, this is where this league early game kind of gets a little complicated. And this is what generally happens is the ball's hit, guy's left early, and it just goes right through the shortstop's legs. And this guy ends up on third base because it goes all the way to the wall, right? You can take that batter, put him back on first base, and move that runner all the way back to second base. So you only get, the batter only gets the base that he deserves. So if there's any kind of error involved, the runner gets back, and so it's a pretty severe penalty. We had it happen to us in All-Star, remember? Where we had like game-winning run who scored and had to go back because he left early.
If you don't have a flag, just throw your hat.
Yeah, well, generally you'll have it, but that before we had the flags, we would just tell you guys to drop your hat. But it's not something you just don't. You got to remember, it's not something we throw up our hands and go runner left early. Just it's a quiet boom. Drop your flag. Let's see how the play goes out. Half the time, he leaves early. He doesn't end up even advancing, and the pitch is a ball. There's no swing. He comes back. You just pick up your flag, and there's no penalty in that situation. You're not automatically out by leaving early in Little League rules. Okay. All right, we already talked about interference. Let's talk about obstruction. I love obstruction. We're rounding third now, exactly. Little League obstruction. Here's a video.
This is an example of obstruction play not being made on the runner. In this scenario, the batter hits a ball into left field. After rounding first base, the batter runner collides with the first baseman, and the umpire signals obstruction. However, the play is allowed to continue. The batter runner slides into second base and is called out. The umpire then calls time and calls the runner safe because of the obstruction. Now watch the entire video sequence. Allowing the play to continue is called a delayed dead ball. Even though the obstruction may be unintentional, it should be called. If the runner is forced to go around a player who does not have the ball, it is considered to be obstruction. The umpire could award one or more bases if he or she believes the runner could have reasonably reached those bases safely. However, if the runner reaches the base that the umpire believes he or she would have reached without the obstruction and tries to advance further and is put out, the out stands. If the fielder does not have the ball and simulates a tag on the runner with the intent of making the runner slow down or stop, obstruction can be called. For scorekeeping purposes, an error is charged to the fielder who committed the obstruction.
All right, that's obstruction. Obstruction, we see it all the time, especially nationally. Why? Because the ball gets hit into left field and the first baseman goes and he stands on the base. and the third baseman goes and they stand on the base watching the outfielders chase the ball. We try to talk to the coaches to tell them not to do it, but they do it. Technically, that is obstruction. Now, you gotta use judgment. Now, the key though with calling obstruction is, it's not like interference where, hey, dead, ball's dead, we got interference. It's, you let the play finish, and then, as you saw, time, we got obstruction, batter is safe. It's obstruction. You just got to use your judgment whether it really makes a difference. Where it does, if the guy's running around third base and there's a guy standing on third base and he has to slow down to avoid the guy and then he gets thrown out at the plate, I'm pointing to the instruction when it happens. I'm letting the play finish and I'm giving that guy home plate at the end. Okay. So look for, and that's something. If you see it going on a lot. Talk to, if you guys are on the bases, talk to the third baseman. Say, be real careful, bud. You don't want to be on. If you're making a play at third, yeah, get on the base or straddle the base or whatever. But if the ball's out in the outfield, tell these guys, don't get on the base. You got to get out of the way of the runners.
As a base coach, and a lot of these kids, they're not meaning to get in their way. They're just watching the play. They literally are watching where the ball is.
And it doesn't have to be intentional. That's important.
And so I'll always tell them, especially the big kid coming on a small hit or something like that, where there's a penalty or potential for major hit. The one that gets me is there's some sort of stopping, and the base runner stops, maybe a few feet past third or a few feet. And they could have made it, but they stopped their momentum, whatever, getting out of the way. And what do you do on that one? So,
if the runner just stopped,
they stop and they go back to the bag because they probably could have gotten it. It would have been a close play maybe, but they stopped all their momentum. They made engagement with the third or the first baseman, and they go back to the bag.
It's a judgment. If you as the umpire feel he altered his course. In other words, going back is to me the same thing as slowing down or having to run around. Or if you can't go, if that obstruction altered his course, then you could call obstruction in that situation and give him the base that he would have had. Now the other important point of that is if I'm obstructed going into second, I'm the runner at first. I'm that guy who I hit the ball and then I collide with the first baseman and I make it straight to second, and but now I'm going to stretch that and I get thrown out at third. If in my judgment, look, he really had a double, even without the obstruction, he could still be out at third, even though there was obstruction between first and second. Does that make sense? Let me show you one of the most famous obstruction calls ever made. World Series, baby. Yeah.
1975.
There you go.
It's an on-call, right?
No. First you have to get through a 10-second ad. Hold on. This was Red Sox Cardinals World Series. You'll see it. Here we go. Watch the replay, you guys. Watch the third base umpire.
It appears that he did it, signaling the home plate umpire, David DeMove. A remarkable play by Pedroia's, dove to his right, on the short hop, gets the first.
Watch third base umpire.
Watch Craig in the background.
Makes the play.
Going to third, so the first man is out. The throw is wide, and now Middlebrooks can't get out of the way. Obstruction is called. Craig, who can't run, normally with it out at home. Saltamacchia making a great play. There's one out. That's a second. Wide throw at third. There's the obstruction. Middlebrooks. Unbelievable.
This game ends with an obstruction call.
This was a good look, I
This game ends.
So stop right there. There's no obstruction yet, because he has the right to make the play. And that throw was inside. He has a right to dive inside. So it can never be obstruction at that point, because he's making a play on the ball. At this point, ball's beyond him, right? So now, this guy has an absolute right, the base runner has an absolute right to proceed home without a fielder interfering. What happens? Whether, everybody will argue about whether he did it intentionally, doesn't matter. The fact that he interfered with him on the way to home is obstruction. Clearly it made a difference, because look at what a bang-bang play at the plate it was. If he doesn't fall down right here, I'll let it go, he's going to be safe. He goes down, now he's up, and now he gets thrown out.
Throw home, it looked like the tag had Craig.
Yes.
But
Dead ball.
immediately Dana DeMuth points down to third base because of this. As the feet go up, Alan Craig gets tangled in the legs of Will Middlebrooks and can't get toward home.
Here, listen to this is the umpires talking about it. They explain it really well.
But just to go over the rule quickly, obstruction is the act of a fielder obstructing a runner when not in the act of fielding a ball. It does not have to be intent. There does not have to be intent, okay? Once he has the opportunity to field the ball, he can no longer in any way obstruct the runner. That's basically the rule.
So that's why that guy, that's why he was safe. So, that's obstruction. And it's not a dead ball. You saw the play wasn't over the second he tripped at third base. He let the play finish, and then boom. Okay, that was obstruction at third. Batter's safe at home. Questions on obstruction? Okay. All right. Pitcher basics. All right. No box in the NL or AL. We kind of give the kids warning if you see them. You'll have to learn, for guys that are doing IL, when we get our rule books, there's a section and it lists, there's 15 different ways you can balk. Probably 30 different ways you can balk. I want you guys doing IL to kind of learn those balk rules, because especially you guys who are back for the second year, have done it before, you can do, we see balks all the time, and home plate umpires can call it, and we try to, but you guys as base umpires, that really is one of your calls that you can make. So it's good to learn on that. Coach visits for the mound, you don't need to know this, the home umpire will know it, but they can visit twice an inning, third time they have to remove the pitcher, or 3 times in a game they have to remove the pitcher. There's a note here about the 1-minute changeovers. All right, I'm gonna go. The other thing that I won't go through them all right now, but these rule myths on the last page that talk about these are things you hear all the time people say, and these are all false. The answer: the hands are considered part of the bat. False. People think that if you're standing in the batter's box and you get hit, and I go like this and it hits me right on the hand, oh, that hit his hand. And that's part of the bat, so that's just a foul ball. No, that's part of my body, and I get first base if that happens. You understand? The hands are part of the hands, not the bat. The ball is dead on a foul tip. We all know that's not true. A foul tip that's caught batter could, the ball could be out, you know, it's out and it's, and you can still, the ball's still alive. You must tag the base with your foot. No, that's not true. Anyway, read through these things and you'll find the ball is dead anytime an umpire is hit by the ball. If you're in the field of play, and you will be in the field of play, depending on your position, you're just part of the field. That ball continues to play live. And you do your best to get out of the way, but sometimes you can't do it. We're gonna do. Okay, we've only got about 15 minutes here. I'm gonna give you just a quick. I want to do just a quick introduction to mechanics because we'll do mechanics on the field. But before we show up on the 30th, read through these last pages about your plate umpire responsibility. Well, you don't need to know plate umpires, but you need to know base umpire responsibilities. It tells you what you're looking for. But let's go over really quick the next page, starting position for base umpire. Because this we'll actually do them. This applies to American League. Not National League, just American League, basically. The A position, you see where the A position is? The A position, meaning there's nobody on base. You are, and this is for an American League game, you are in A position. You're right about here. Foul territory. Runner on first, we move to B position, which is up around here. Anything else, meaning first and third, first and second, second and third, C position. We're over here, kind of in the just off the back of the dirt or on the grass, in between usually shortstop and second base. So A, B, C. You got to know those. Know those, and you look at. We'll deal with those a lot. In National League, there's two positions. There's A, where there's nobody on base. Where A and A, we have an umpire here and here. We have no home plate umpire. And then if there's a runner on first, only if there's a runner on first, or first and second, or first and third, or if bases loaded. Anytime that there might be a play at second, we move this runner with this guy over to like what would be considered the B position. This guy always stays here no matter what. So that's National League. In intermediate, A position is exactly the same, but B position, we're on the infield. We're about here. This is B. C is just the other side. You're working on the infield there it's a bigger field and whatnot. I don't have a diagram, but when we go out there, we'll show you those positions. I'm going to show you just a quick video, and then maybe that's just kind of your introduction to mechanics. Mechanics to me are real important, guys. When I go out and I watch you guys and observe you, I obviously want you to get the calls right, but I'm looking that you're doing the mechanics right. And that means getting in position, hustling, being where you're supposed to be, and really looking like you know what you're doing. Here's a quick video on the base umpire pivot, which we'll practice when we're out there, but just to give you a little introduction to it. This is when you're in the A position for American League, and you're and actually it would work for
one of the most
just
important concepts of the Little League baseball in a 60-foot diamond is the inside-outside theory. Whenever the ball is on the inside of the diamond, the base umpire will stay behind the infielders. Anytime the ball goes to the outfield, the base umpire will pivot in to the infield. This is a very important concept to stay ahead of the runner and to be able to be in position to make the calls. It is a 3-step process of left, right, left once you cross the imaginary foul line. It will look something like this. What I just did was the base umpire's pivot into the infield. I came across through from position A. As I crossed the imaginary baseline, I took a left, right, left pivot. My objective was
And he turns
to pivot,
inside.
watch the base runner touch first base.
I see some of you
Make sure there was
guys.
no obstruction. As he went back to first base, I broke off towards the 30-foot line to open up a throwing lane in case there was a throwback behind him.
There you go. That's the whole pivot, and that's something we do all the time. And you'll have to practice it because your natural thing that you're looking for, or your natural instinct is to circle on the ball hit to the outfield. You're circling into the infield, and then you open up and you're watching the guy run to second. You gotta fight that and learn to come in and pivot and look in. You come into the infield and you pivot towards first base because you want to see if you're looking for that obstruction by the first baseman, and you're looking to see that the runner actually touches first base. If you're turning the other way, you miss all that. So it's come in and pivot, and we'll work on that more when we have our on-field day. Let's see. Just again, please do read these mechanics slides. They will give you. We'll go over it. We'll go over it when we're on the field. But this kind of tells you what you need to know. Let's see. Especially this one, angle over is kind of the silver rule for baseball. Is angle over distance. Having the right angle, rather than trying to get right up on top of the play is more important. So we'll do that on the field. Do I have any? Let's go questions. Do we have any questions? Rules that you always wondered about, Mr. Carey?
Last year we had a kid who was standing like on top of the base and like on first base. He was playing first and he was standing on first base, and there wasn't really a lot of room for the runner. Would he have to make a collision to get the obstruction or the?
Good question. What do you guys think? Do you have to have a collision to be obstructed?
No.
If you have to slow down or alter your course
Like if he was
because that
going
guy's blocking. Now, if he's in the process, if he's making a play and his foot's on the base, he's allowed to do that. But
like if his foot's like in the
if he's
very
standing there on the base and the ball's off in left field and I have to take some big wide turn or slow down, that could be obstruction and I get second base. So that can be obstruction. Any other questions?
For National League in the pitching machine,
Yep.
on a ball thrown to like second base and the guy misses it, the pitcher gets it, but the runner's still rounding the bag and tries to get a back door. I was always confused on that one, like, I know it's a delayed dead ball once the pitcher gets it inside the diamond, but when he tries to make a play, it was argued like that sometimes you get the extra bag on the overthrow.
Whenever he's on the bag, that's when the play stops. Like if he's off the bag, then pitcher gets it, it's a delayed dead ball, and you can throw it and try to throw it around.
Right.
So the pitcher
It's when, and we'll go over these crazy National League rules in more detail, but the general rule is once the pitcher touches the ball on the grass, and he's on anywhere on the grass, it's either, if the runners are all on base, ball dead. If there's a runner off the base, we do the one hand, and we'll go over this mechanics when we're on our field. If you're doing the one hand, it means the ball, the pitcher's now touched the ball, but if there's a runner off a base at that point, he's allowed to gun him out, he can get him.
Wait, so when does a player get two bass bags?
Two bass when he's fishing. He get two bases on a throw that goes out of play. And that's the whole, either from the time of the throw or the time of the pitch, depending on, is it a first throw from an infielder or is it a throw from the outfielder or a second throw from the infielder? Okay, but that's out of play. And out of play, that would mean the ball goes over the fence, it goes into a dugout, whatever. That's out of play. Otherwise, that ball's still going to be in play somewhere. All right, boys, I know that was a lot of information and it seems overwhelming, but read through the stuff and it will help become clearer. Also, I'm gonna get, hopefully we'll have the rule books for you at the time of the on-field training, so that'll even clear things up more. Remember, before you leave tonight, put your shirt size up there. And we will see